Okay, the official age on this ram, as determined by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, because they'll tell you when you go in and have it sealed. You can tell this is plugged and sealed. Official age on this one is 10 years old, so good job everyone who guessed 10. And let me explain a little bit why or how you can tell that this is a 10-year-old ram. When a ram enters the wintertime, or any sheep really, ram or ewe, their horns will actually stop growing. And when they stop growing, they'll form rings or annuli at that time where when the horn stops growing. So on this ram, this is actually a double broomed ram. You can tell that this side over here is much more broomed off than this side. This side, it's not broomed off much at all, but it's broomed off enough that that lamb tip is missing. So when he was a lamb, he had a horn like right here that got broken off. And when they're both broken off, when both lamb tips are broken off, that's just an indicator of a mature ram. So in this one, lamb tip is missing, and usually if the lamb tip is not missing on a ram, you'll usually feel like a little nub, a little bulge right there. And so that's hard to tell sometimes, but usually the second year is pretty clear. And the third year for sure is very clear. So 2 to here, 2-year-old. Here's his third year of growth right here. Here's the third annuli. And you can tell it's typical for a ram to grow longer than he is thicker on his third year. So you can usually see that third year growth pretty clearly. And then fourth year, they're starting to get almost thicker than they are longer, but they're usually just a bit longer on their fourth year than they are wide or thick. So 4 to here. And let me say something about this one right here. This could fool you as a growth ring, but that's called a false annuli. And you can tell because if you look on the back here, that ring doesn't go all the way through. It's smooth right here. Whereas right here you can definitely see that this growth ring is going all the way through on the third year and the fourth year and the fifth year. You can see it. So again, typical fourth year growth. Fifth year he's putting on a lot of mass, and he's getting that age of growth is usually they're putting on more mass than they are length. 6th year to here, 7 here, and then they start getting incrementally smaller from there on out generally, because they're putting all their energy into staying alive and not putting into much horn growth. So we got 8 to here. Is that right? Okay, let me go again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to here. And then here's where it gets tough too, because again, these growth rings start to really stack in close because they're not growing hardly at all after their 8th year. They're just mostly trying to stay alive, and so their horns are not putting on hardly any growth at all. But you can tell when you look closely that horn's changing directions. Especially on the back, you can see it very clearly, and that growth ring's going all the way through. So 8 to here, 9 to here, and 10 to here. 10-year-old ram. Anyway, a little lesson on sheep horn growth and how you can tell the age of a sheep. Let me say too that these growth rings, when you're up on the mountainside, oftentimes they're really clear because it's raining, and the moisture will sink down into these growth rings and they'll really pop out, and you can notice them through your spotting scope. So yeah, aging a ram, if you have some experience doing it, is one way of determining legality on a sheep. In the Alaska Department of Fish and Game regulations, they have to be at least 8 years old to be legal. So this ram was 10 years old and legal.